Hi everyone. Okay, today we are here for the January 2024 energy update and possibly a glimpse into more of 2024. I just don't know. I really never know what's going to come through. Although we do have the theme for this year that I have referenced back in, I think it was early December, that was brought through to me, which is really a continuation, but in a way an upgrade to Creative Expansion 2.0 from what we had as Creative Expansion in 2023. So, again, what we're going to be talking about is a continuation of this energy, but with upliftment, just like you would get with an upgrade, right? On your, I don't know, phone or any kind of up leveling where we wonder about what the features are going to be like. Will we be able to operate within that system? What impacts it will have on us day to day? Same idea, right? So anyway, that's, they're funny sometimes with their humor. And so yeah, here we are, Creative Expansion 2.0. That said, we're going to talk specifically about January, what we might expect. Again, energetically speaking, how that manifests, we don't really usually know. I'm going to try to give some indication as well with respect to what we might see unfold in the collective, actually, literally. So a lot of times what will happen is these energies that we identify or that come in, the creation or manifestation of what their intent is shows up later. So again, I'm just going to give you what I get and we're going to see what they offer to us today. Again, as I always say, take what resonates, toss the rest aside. You're here to pick up puzzle pieces for the puzzle of your own journey and being able to understand it in your own way. So that's why I offer these videos, so that you can take pieces of the things that really make sense to you to be able to use that for your journey forward. So welcome to the start of the new year. I'm Carolyn Zaiser. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channeled messages from the light keepers for your awakening and ascension journey support. So thank you so much for joining me today and launching off into the new year. I hope you like, subscribe, and share these videos. It helps me reach more people who may benefit from these messages. So again, thank you so much. I will also indicate below in the description box a link that will take you to a video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness. We're going to actually be talking about flow today. They had indicated that to me for January. Anyway, needless to say, that link will take you to a video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness. But as I always say, more importantly, it takes you to my email list where on a weekly basis, I send out a channeled message from the Light Keepers for your support in the week coming up. Those are typically sent out on Fridays. And again, that's what I use my email list for. I know we get lots of stuff in our email boxes that we don't care to read, and it's advertisement. I don't use mine for advertisement. I know, maybe I should, but I don't. You can reach me through all the links in that email that you would receive if you would choose to do so and work with me. Because of course I would love to work with you. But the purpose in that is to provide you with more free content, a message to take forward in the week to come. All right, everybody. So thank you to everyone who always joins me, and let's get started. All right. So what has come in for me, as I said, was the theme of Creative Expansion 2.0. We're going to unpack a bit of that. Essentially, it is like an upgrade, but it's, I guess what I'll just say is it's still familiar, just like any upgrade. Your device is, your phone, whatever it is, your device is familiar to you, but the features might not be that you're upgrading to, or that you're, I don't know. I guess upgrade's the word they're actually giving me. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that and see what that means for 2024. But I'm also going to give you, most importantly, what I'm getting for January. So one of the first things I got today, and this is usually how it works for me, is I'll start to get a little bit of information as I intend to do the videos that I do. I got the word flow, inflow. Inflow. Many of us are going to start feeling inflow on a daily basis. How to explain that may be hard, but I'm going to try to do it for you so you can get a sense of things. this is part of the up leveling, but it's also part of where we've come to in our journey. Now remember, I'm talking about some of us that are going to experience this first. It doesn't mean every single person going through awakening is going to feel this. The initial Lightworker group going to experience this in January. I typically end up expressing out what we're going to start seeing as this first wave, and then the next wave, and then it just follows on. All right, so this is a ripple effect. Remember that. All right, so you're all in your own journey where you're meant to be, but what I want you to know is you may start feeling like you are in flow, in a flow state, which is where we want to be. That's also the feeling of, or that's also an indication, they just said indication of actually having vibrationally moved up the ladder as such. Our frequency is higher. We are now vibing more with the flow of the universe, which basically, oh God, they just showed a surfboard. Catch the wave, they just said. Catch the wave. Yeah, oh, I have massive chills. Okay, so catch the wave. That's exactly it. You're catching that wave of flow. But the wave is the universe. The ocean is the universe. You're catching that wave. You're flowing now. All right? You're like becoming an expert surfboarder, right? In the wave of life. I don't know. But that's what they're showing to me. So what we're going to start to feel, many of us, is this idea of things just kind of start to click along. Now that doesn't mean we have days that aren't just lumpy and bumpy and all of that, and we're still going to go through our learning, still going to go through our clearing, still going to go through our healing journey, still going to go through creating the life that we want, still continuing to, bring that energy back in, our soul flowing, all that stuff. But it's a different stage of doing that. One thing they have shown me before, and this had to do with, and not to go into this, but it had to do with clearing attachments, old contracts, curses, vows from the past or past lives or whatever, wherever it came from. So how this came to be, in my understanding, was, and how this plays out, is that we're coming along in our journey, right? And all of a sudden we kind of get an up leveling. You know that, how that feels in your journey, and you start realizing, wow, I'm advancing in this understanding of my spiritual evolution. But then what starts to happen is the things that you dealt with down here, you think, oh, I'm done with those. I'm done with those. Like any kind of, any work that, I'm going to use this as an example, any work that you've had to, clear vows and curses and things that have come up, nasty energies, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, good, I'm done with that. We got that all cleared. What happens is when we move up, when we spiritually evolve, it's like a video game. When you do really great, guess what? You get more challenges. They're just different, and you're more advanced and mature in how you're able to handle these. You understand the journey better. All right, so this is, you can think of it as a video game. I'm not kidding you. You get, any of you who are into video games and know how, like, if you get enough points, right, you up level and you get more challenges, and you also get more, some big challenges. I don't want to say the nasty stuff, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it works, right? Like, we're clearing out all of this gunk, but we're doing it at different levels, okay? So just know that is part of the journey and how it works. So we continue to evolve, but we continue to get new challenges at each stage of growth, and we continue to clear more things that don't serve us, whatever they are, at each level, okay? But within that, what starts to happen is, as we do that up leveling, we are starting to be able to flow with the universe day to day. So that's what January is looking like right now, is we're going to start stepping in. They just showed this, stepping in to the sense of, okay, just think of the surfer, think of catching the wave, okay? And you're flowing along. You just kind of do things in flow pattern. Things feel better, they feel smoother. Doesn't mean you don't deal with some of the difficulties of human life, because this is human life, but it's how it's going to be presented to you and how you actually deal with it. It's completely different. It may be the exact same situation, that you dealt with, I don't know, we're going to just say years ago. I could probably give a couple of basic examples, day-to-day just stuff. You can think of something that irritates you that maybe you have happen regularly. But what will happen is as we continue to up level, these things kind of flow in and out, either at a quicker pace, an easier way. You handle it in a very different way, a much more evolved way. So just know that we are moving into this time of feeling flow in our day to day. It's almost like this graceful, they just use the word graceful move through your day. This graceful move through your day. Nothing takes you, well, ideally, nothing takes you off your game. Remember, we're still learning. We're all at different stages of this. You may feel some days of flow, others of just, nope, there we are again. And of course, we have all these energies coming into the planet, solar flares, all the things we've talked about in the past videos. Big time sun this year is what I'm getting. So just know that's kind of like the, they're using a bumper car metaphor. Like, you're doing well and all of a sudden, boom, there comes a solar flare and you're feeling the energies and you just know that something's up. Always look to the cosmos is what I always tell people. Is it new moon, full moon, solar flares, what's going on? Rather than, oh, am I ill or what's happening to me? And yes, it may manifest that way. But the point in this is we are in a great period of being able to start to feel flow. And we're able to maneuver with these cosmic events more readily. Now, this all has, if you're all sitting there wondering, well, how do I get that? Well, again, I go back to foundationally, all the things we've talked about in these videos, if you've been following me for a while, are super important. But most importantly, I will say again, the platform that you launch off from, okay? What's your platform look like? Is it all crumbly and broken? And, think of the rocket platform, needs a platform to launch off from, right? What's your platform look like of self-care? Self-care includes your energy body, your physical body, and your mind and your spiritual body, right? So what are you doing each day, habit-wise? And I'm not going to go into this in detail again because you hear enough of this from me about self-care. But it is important. And energetically speaking, we need to up our game, okay? Some of us may physically have it all together, right? Like we're working out all the time and we're doing our thing and we're, feel strong and healthy and all of that good stuff, right? But what are we doing for our energy body? What are we doing for our energy body? Because that eventually affects our physical body, particularly now, right? What are we putting into our mouths every day to eat? What's that source of fuel? All those things. That is what I will tell you is important to being able to get to this point where we feel this sense of flow. But it's also the spiritual work. It's also leaning in. It's also regularly doing your work. So we're going to kind of set that aside because that's all pre-this, what we're talking about in January. All of you are at different stages, all right? But what I want you to know is you're all going to reach this flow state, all right? Again, lumps and bumps along the way. You can use 10,000 different metaphors, but I love the one they brought through of catching the wave, all right? So the universe is being presented to you with all the work you've done. Now you're catching the big wave on your surfboard, right? And you're riding and you're flowing and you're flowing and you're flowing. And then you catch the next wave. You fall off your surfboard, right? Because guess what? I don't know. We're going to have a big old solar flare. You're going to feel awful one day. And you're not going to, things aren't going to jive correctly for you in a particular day. But then you're going to get back on that surfboard because guess what? You're very experienced at this. And guess what? Now you catch the big wave again and you're riding and you flow and you flow and you flow. So you can use that as a metaphor. You can actually use that as kind of to judge where you're at in your journey as far as day to day when flow starts happening to you. Like, okay, I'm on my surfboard today and we're catching the big wave. We're with the universe. I'm floating on the universe's energy, right? That big ocean of energy. So we're going to start to one degree or another, depending on our own place in this journey, feel a greater sense of flow. They just said an ease and grace in our day to day, okay? Now, more importantly than ever is this continuation of doing what is right for us. This is making choices that serve us, being able to work from our heart space. Ultimately, this is all about love. I mean, if you want to boil everything down to love. It's expressing love. But we have to express love to ourselves first in all the things we choose to do and choices we make for ourselves, right? And when we do that and we start to internalize all of that and love ourselves more, we love others. We have the opportunity to love others more. All right. So what all of this is leading to then is this ultimate, they said cohesion with the universe and the working with the universe like this. And then your day, like we said, riding the wave. Okay. So we are very much moving into that space and time. Now, here's the thing. I know you can look outside in the collective and go, well, that sure doesn't feel like that. We're talking about individual situations right now because we are at this front line. This is the beginning of our journey as a collective into a space we've never been before. As a collective, across the worldwide, we are light workers that are working to maneuver through our awakening journey, all very common, because of course this is what I do every day. I work with people who are going through their awakening journey, all the common threads of things. We're everywhere. I work with people all over the world. We are everywhere. I knew that before we started this business, and what I will tell you is it's so evident, and we all have common phases. Our experiences are different within those phases. We all have common I'll just say symptoms. We all have common outcomes oftentimes. And I don't mean material outcomes. I'm talking, how do I want to say this? Like on our healing journey, healing things in certain ways, being able to manage through past lives, inner child. We start really understanding the bigger picture. We all start seeing the different phases, but then they line up for us each differently depending on where we're at in our journey. So as we collectively continue to move through this massive ascension journey, the frontliners, those of us that, if you're on here, you're a frontliner, we're all at different phases. Like I said, we are moving into the flow state. When we move into the flow state, it is literally like a graceful process that you will move through in your day. The lumps won't seem as lumpier. The bumps won't seem as bumpy. The scrapes and skinned knees will not be as bruised and bloody. There will be, there will be still times. Remember, this is not, you don't all of a sudden just get to this, right, where everything's perfect. We still have things we're going to focus on. So I want you to remember that when I'm saying this. But ultimately what's happening here is, okay, they just said the shrapnel flies around us. And it's going to fly around us even more fully as we have done our spiritual work, as we've done our evolution or evolving, as we have done the things that we talk about every single day and received the upliftment from the universe, from the cosmic events. That's key. That is literally key. It is the upliftment. It's the moving us into the 2.0 of where we're expanding to as a collective. And again, I go back to, it doesn't look like that now at all. It looks very difficult. A lot of people are in fear. And that is not where we want to be. We do not want to be in a place of fear, whether it's personally in fear. And yes, that's a work in progress. It's a working through, but we do not want to be in a fear state when we look at the state of the world. Because let's remember, there are forces working to keep us in that place, more so than ever before. And so I'll say fear mongering, I just heard hardcore press. Okay. Oh, this year. Oh, yes. Okay, they said because they know you're evolving, they're going to offer a hardcore press, like never seen before, to keep us in our fear state. Because that is what keeps your vibration low and the inability to ascend as a collective. All right? Inability, that's so interesting. So 2024, okay, is there, they just said it's a watershed time. Yeah, I knew 2024 was going to be big. Watershed time. Breaking past the fear, unwinding. Oh, all that they've brought to you that they hope you will sow. Well, right, like seeds of fear. Like, no. So that's the biggest thing. That's one of the things, too, where we're naturally guided, most of us, to not stick our noses in news all the time, right? To not look to the outside world for, they just said for our salvation. Oh gosh, this is getting so interesting the way they're talking. Looking to the light and looking to your inner self. Okay, they're showing how, as I've said before, they brought this through, that ultimately the universe is in us, ultimately. Okay, they're talking about us bringing forth that light, the intended light. Okay, that is the beginning of all, that is coming forth from you. Okay, they just said it all began in light. And powerful understanding that this was an experience we would sow to be able to come back into the oneness of self. Okay, so this is very interesting. It's a little bit of a trippy, it might be for some of you, trippy visual of, they're showing the expansion of the universe within each one of us, but it's expanding cosmically. This is so interesting. So it's not a metaphor, though. That's the thing. They keep, I keep wanting to say, well, this is a metaphor. This isn't a metaphor. Oh, I just got so many chills. As we expand spiritually and evolve within ourselves, of course, we know our body's shifting and changing, all of that. The universe, the expansiveness of the universe is being felt within us, and within that is the origin story, they just said, of love and light and hope for all. In other words, we can't not be that, because we came from that. We are that, all right? We are that light, that love, that beauty, that oneness. But what's happening is we came into individual being form, carrying the fullness of the universe in us. And then then they're showing that all around the light dimmed. It never went out. We always had that pilot light, right? The light dimmed because of the external events, right? Because of what's been presented to us for our intaking. And then we created these layers, and this is the peel back the onion thing too. Interesting. Created these layers that kept us from understanding that we had the universe within us. That we had the universe within us. And this is also how we move into creative expansion, individually and collectively. We're expanding internally from the inside out, not the outside in. Not the outside in. We're being presented with energies to support us in our evolution, spiritual evolution within us, where the light grows and expands beyond all knowing, is what they just said. I just got massive chills. It's almost as though like we just feel like we're going to burst with like this light, and we're going to start being able to, in our year of Creative Expansion 2.0, to be able to, okay, this is the flow. This is why the flow is important in January, because that flow is going to start. Oh, they just said that's the engine. Okay, you're in the engine of flow. So you're in the wave, right? You're in your surfboard in the wave. You're taking the flow, and now the manifestations are going to begin, because this is about creating the new earth and the ways and means that we are choosing to do that. The presenting out of love to others. And remember, when we talk about love, this is the totality of what we do every day. It's what we do for ourselves, our families, our friends. And we kind of had a misunderstanding of love most often. We have a tendency to think of love first and foremost as romantic love. That's been skewed. Not that it doesn't exist, but we have a tendency, many of us, to think that that's what love is, and then we just kind of take everything else for granted. All the other relationships. That's not good. Everything is immersed, as you said, immersed in the vibration of love. We just have to refine it within us first, and then it exudes out to others, and then we start to create and manifest out into the new world in everything that we do, in our thoughts and our feelings. Again, I keep going. I keep saying, this is not a one day you wake up and it's all perfect. This is still a process, right? It's still a process that unfolds. But oh my gosh, we are in a space, because of 2023 and all the trials and tribulations so many people have been through. I mean, I should write a book about the journeys all the individuals that I know and work with have been through this year, and how they barely recognize themselves from January until now, right? And some things are huge and obvious, and you see it in the day-to-day life. And a lot of it's internal. So we're all in those different stages, right? So my point in this is what we're bringing forward now into the new year. All the work that was done this last year, unlike any year before, since I've been doing this work, which has been 2016, okay? Unlike any before, where we are expanding beyond all knowing, they just said, because of the work that we've done previously and will continue to do. And now this flow state is, the light that they're showing is amazing. This flow state that we're going to be in and starting to be in, we're going to be bringing others with us. That's always the way it is, because it's magnetic. But the point in this is, you saw in December how I brought through that visual of us making sure that nobody's going into the abyss. And remember, it was like this visual of like a power lifter, or kind of like Hercules pulling the world, right? And keeping people from falling into the black hole, the abyss, the fear, the getting lost in all of that, getting lost in conspiracy theory, getting lost in fear. Yes, conspiracy theory is a thing we go through, and some of it's real, I'll tell you that, but we don't live in it, right? So anyway, we've talked about that before, but anyway, you can get lost in all of that. These are all phases that are supposed to happen, but we're supposed to be moving on, right? We take the pieces that serve us and understand that, but we're like, nope, that's not where we live. It's not where we live. So we're helping those who are falling into fear state, into the abyss, and ultimately all of what we see out there it has a foundation of fear, okay? Because anger comes from fear. All this violence, it comes from fear ultimately. You can get that right down to fear, all right? So we got a lot of that going on, swirling around, but we're here doing this kind of thing. They showed that in December, right? So now, because we're magnetic and we're moving into flow state more fully, and creative expansion 2.0 for the year, we're accelerating tremendously. We're going to see huge acceleration in 2024. Again, I'm going to tell you, if you're looking on the surface at what is happening with humankind, you're going to think, there's no way, we're doomed, But those of us in this journey understand that's not how this works, right? It has to break apart first before we can expand out into all the glory that we are, right? And this is a journey. It's not that in 2024 this is going to be done. We're going to have a couple more years of this. This is the evolution we're in right now. We're moving into this expanded state where, as we know, with the Aquarian age, we're in this creative state. We're in this love state. We're in this rebuilding state and the breaking down of all that doesn't serve us. Again, the old Pisces stuff, right? And Pisces served us, right? We built institutions. We built formulas of the way to be. We built constructs. We built belief systems, right? Well, we got to go to the extreme of that first before we realize that, we're just all part of one. So we have to, again, I go back to what I talked about with labels. Again, the labels that we're creating now. Everything is labeled. We label everything now. We all need to have 10,000 things that describe us or define us. That's great for now. Because we have to be aware. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, look how diverse we are. Oh, yes. And that also creates fear too, right? However, we have to have that before that just all goes away and we're just all that oneness, okay? The understanding that. Because those will go away at some point, those labels. We don't need those labels. We don't need them now, but we do have to be able to get to where we're going. Anyway, so what we've got for we're going to leap into a little bit of 2024. So we talked about flow, the flow state for... wow, there's a lot of energy. January. And so let's just see if we can connect in a little bit on 2024 before we wrap this up for you. We've already talked about it, like I said, being creative expansion 2.0. Okay. Oh, okay. So this may seem obvious. I've always said I'm going to kind of stop talking about the weather because we're going to have extreme weather events. We just are. There's still a lot of a water theme here. We've been having, I know in the United States, I believe, and again, I have to say, I brought what I'm meant to see, and the rest I don't. But I know we've had some severe flooding situations, I believe, if not on both coasts already, just within this last month. Worldwide, I have to admit I'm not that up on it, but I am getting that we're going to continue to have water events. These solar flares that we're seeing are going to increase. Okay, they just said the word solar maximum to me. I believe that's a thing. Really feels like now through summer, I can't really see past summer right now. That's typically what they do with me is they'll give me like a 6-month window. I don't know. That's just how it works. We're going to see a lot of worldwide events that have to do with extreme weather. Again, that might seem obvious. Just want you to know what I'm getting. We are also going to see worldwide events that, okay, they just said, and we already seeing this, tearing the heart apart. They just said, okay, we're not going to get into this right now, but it is for a purpose. All of this is for a purpose, and also there is a representation of what's happening out in the world. All of the strife that is is a representation of what is happening in us each individually. If you can make that connection, I think you'll understand what we're talking about. That's probably a video in its own. But the point is we have certain places in the world that are vortexes for examples of what is going on in us each individually and the tearing apart. So that gets into a more lofty conversation, which I'm going to leave for, if I do anything with that at another time, I'll be guided to that. But I want you to know that that's everything you're seeing out there is part of this journey that we are all on collectively. And it doesn't, as humans, it does not, we don't understand it. We don't understand it because we have to see it as humans. But then as we put our spiritual lenses on, we can start seeing things a little more clearly. It doesn't mean it's easier to accept or digest, but there is, okay, they just, God, isn't this a song? They said there's purpose for everything under heaven. Purpose for, I think that's a song, isn't it? Is it, I don't know if it's the Beatles, there's somebody, purpose, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting it now, but anyway, purpose for everything under heaven. So we're going to continue to see, they just said strife events. Okay, I am getting, oh, interesting. They just said personal uprising. But that before that, they gave me the visual of collective uprisings. Oh, God, I have so many chills. Okay, there's a potential, again, I say potential because we don't always know if it's going to actually happen, for a massive uprising of civilians, collectively speaking, voicing concern. I'm getting voicing concern. It's going to be very evident and very obvious. And what we're in right now with respect to all of this is this, I don't like to say that like this, but I'm just going to say it because most people can relate to the battle between dark and light. All right, where are you going to go? Which way are you going to head? How are you going to behave? What do you know, this kind of thing, right? So what I'm very much getting is holding the light during these times. Gosh, I keep getting the word civilian. Hold on a second. Like a civilian uprising, an overtaking of something. I don't know what that means or where that is. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't like to get too specific because the thing is, what I do notice is when we talk about future events, what I always say, and I do this even when I work with people individually, is I say potential future events. And that free will has a lot to do with this, all right? Has a lot to do with what happens in the future. And essentially, our future is all outlined for us. We have all these various paths, anything that we want. It has to do with free will, though, the timeline's collapsing, all of this stuff happening. We've not been in this place before, right? So a future prediction can be nebulous. It will be a high energetic potential that I see now, all right? And I always tell everybody that when I work with them as well. It doesn't mean drop everything and follow only that path. Like, oh, this is what you have to do and don't do anything else. No, not at all. It can maybe provide as a synchronicity, the things you already know or feel, or it may be something you're already doing. Anyway, point is for the collective, that's the same way. All right. I mean, there are free will choices out there all over the place. I mean, we could have a whole world of leaders all of a sudden one day wake up and start living from their heart, only their heart, and then power plays and all that go by the wayside, right? I mean, so that's free will choices. It's a choice. So what I'm saying is that could shift and change. Those kinds of things could shift and change overnight, right? Gosh, if only, right? That's what we would hope for in many ways. But remember, I don't care whether I just mentioned our leaders, this journey, this ascension journey, where we're going, this, I don't know, I'll call it the second coming, is coming through us. And it's at a grassroots level, all right? It's coming through us individually with what we choose in our life, what we do in our day-to-day, choices we make of things that serve us, that don't serve us any longer, bringing that energy back in, all the things we talked about previously. Okay, they just said it's go time. Okay, in this part of time, it is go time. It's getting on that surfboard and riding that wave. It's getting into flow state. Now, I'm going to tell you about flow state. It just happens. All right. You know how so much of the spiritual journey, you can't explain, like it's not a choice you made. Yeah, you may want to be in flow state, but it's like, well, how do I get into flow state every single day? Do I need to have a project plan? Do X, Y, Z every single day? No, it's all the things we do that surround that offer flow state, right? I mean, I know many of you, and this is very hard to explain, how it just is. Things just are. Like your spiritual awakening journey, right? Just happened. It just happened. It's kind of how everything else is. Things just happen. And then we follow along, we get pulled into the current, right? So again, that's real important to remember, is that as we enter into this time, it's not like creating a project plan to go into flow state in January. It's not a step-by-step process. There are things that support that we do, but at the same time, we are uplifted by the universe and the cosmos and the energies of sun, moon, all of that. And Earth, I will say as well, because massive shift and change there, and that's the one that can be kind of tenuous, right? Because we're here on Earth, and she's doing her thing, right? And ascending as well. So she's getting herself into her flow state, right? And as we know, getting there is tumultuous. So with that today, I think we're at a point where we can stop and give kind of a final footnote to this for January. I always say, take a look at your year, and I think I said this in a recent video. Know how far you have come. Know that the trials and tribulations you've been through this year, the difficulties, the stresses, the sadnesses, the pain, the suffering, are all for purpose. There are reasons for everything that happens to us. There are reasons, and they are often very hard to understand and unfold. But we come out the other end. And that's the knothole that we're in. The knothole in time. We're squeezing out and coming out the other end. The butterfly and the cocoon, all of that. Catching the wave of flow is what we're doing this year. In January. Catching the wave of flow. And remember, as we're surfing, you're going to fall off the board sometimes. All right? Just know that. So there's your metaphor for January. Catching the wave of the universal flow of this collective journey, and really being able to, some of us, lots of us, starting to feel that in our journey, like days of and hours of just things feel right. Things are just moving through my day. I'm just able to maneuver through, however that looks for you ultimately. All right, everybody, I am going to finish up with reminding you of my services, purplerainhealing.com. It would be a great opportunity for you to start the new year with a channeled messages session or starting one-on-one mentoring for your awakening, ascension, and your life journey, where we help you put together past, present, and future to assist you regularly in your journey forward. So I channel information for you. I also offer advice from my own journey, but we assist you in really understanding your spiritual evolution, what's happening in your day-to-day life, and what it means from a soul spiritual perspective. I also offer channeled messages as individual sessions, audio recordings as well, and distance energy healing. So check out purplerainhealing.com for all of my services. I would love to work with you in the new year to help launch you forward in your journey. All right, everybody. Happy New Year to you. Happy 2024. We are headed into some very interesting times, and I look forward to traveling them with you. I'll see you in the next video.